Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sean. This is Kira. Thanks for joining us. Um, we just had to refilm the news because, well, trying to talk about Hungary. And Austria-Hungary used to be one country. And we played, what we had filmed back. And I literally, not only did I say Austria about 8 times when trying to talk about Hungary, but the first time I said Australia has closed its borders. To which the ocean replied, I know.
Declared independence from the Great Barrier Reef.
Yes. No sharks will be migrating into Australia anytime soon. Sharks are gonna have to stay out. Not until you learn how to speak English, Jaws. So anyways, we've had a rather eventful week. So welcome to the weekly or bi-weekly news, whenever we remember to do it. That kind of increment. Seasonal, monthly, cyclical. Whenever the crimson tide doth flow. Wait, no. I was talking about football.
We bleed purple and gold in this house, mofo, alright? I know we live in a trailer, but we don't scream roll tide. I'll throw your ass out the front door.
This is a pre-manufactured home. This is not... It's
no Bama fairies are getting their wings today.
It's trailer shaped.
Besides, congratulations LSU for kicking Auburn's butt today.
So, speaking of butt kicking, Japan recently had a bit of a scuffle in their Parla Congress Congress.
Their Parliament Senate.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
You just
made that up.
Oh. That sounded kind of official. The Parliamentary Senate.
Part of my job, I have to at least sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Okay, so basically, there's this wartime restriction that has been lifted in Japan. This is a part of their constitution from when it was rewritten after World War II, where Japan is not allowed to go to war unless Japan itself is attacked. Well, being a member of NATO, this kind of makes them a bit impotent. What has happened now is if World War III pops off, or, whatever seems like it's about to fucking impendingly happen, Japan can now, take part and die with all of us. Yay! No, getting seriously, this is a chess move, okay? This is pawns are moving into place, okay? And we have the migrant crisis being pushed out of the Middle East into Europe by the Assad regime. These people are coming, the legitimate ones are coming from the Assad contested areas that are fought between the rebels and Assad. ISIS moving in this way, oddly surrounding a base that's being resupplied by Russia in the middle of Syria. But the point is, this influx of refugees comes at the time when Russia is resupplying and reinforcing Assad. They have intel on 1,000 portable housing units that could house Russian soldiers. We know damn good and well that Russian soldiers don't need housing units. So if there's housing units there, that means there's a shit ton of Russians all fucking scattered all about. All right. So, in the midst of this, for Japan, and like, in light of Ukraine and Georgia and everything that's been going on, for Japan to do this at this time, the board is being set, the pawns are being moved forward, and the rooks and bishops and knights are all contemplating their moves. Okay? And when you got things going on like Ahmed, the fake terrorist, you definitely know those pawns are on the board. But before we get into that any further, speaking of pawns, let's talk about the Republican debates, shall we?
The circus is in town.
Oh, you can't sleep because these clowns will definitely eat you. I mean, wait. Oh, speaking of Republican clowns that might eat you. A few years ago, when the last primary, not primary, the midterm debate was going on, I had just kind of had about enough of politics from the pseudo liberal perspective and the pseudo conservative perspective. Basically, both sides of the political spectrum had been inundated with pure straw man arguments, barking past each other, and it just got the fuck out of hand. And what I realized was that we're being played from someone from the outside. There's something going on here. And I started to see past all the common conspiracy theories because they all sounded the same. They sounded hollow. And none of the individual people spreading these conspiracy theories, these supposed explanations on what's really going on, right? None of them ever kind of sounded completely, I don't know, genuine. And all together, they all sound like they're reading from the same script or telling the same story. So there was a local election going on, David Vitter's old seat. And we had one guy who had been steadily in the lead by like a 2/3 to 1/3 mark, or 30% ahead or whatever, like 60% to 40%, something like that. Then right before the election, the other guy, the guy who won, has ad after ad after ad after ad just in the last few days before the election. And I didn't like the guy. He just, if he had clown makeup on, he would eat you in your sleep. Like, okay, I didn't like the guy. There's something creepy about him. But I had kind of a world perspective I was worried about. Everybody knows the story about the laughing dragon, knows about, how I decided things were going to proceed as far as my political views from that point. Um, well, earlier today, I did a little investigate, did a little snooping. Just kind of wanted to see what was that guy about. You see, the guy he ran against was a state senator, and he had been involved in various aspects of business community associations and different stuff here in Louisiana. And this guy who's now in David Vitter's old spot was a lifelong and not very old oil person, just involved in oil exploration with Texan oil companies. Hmm. And well, that by itself wouldn't really seem too suspicious. Seems kind of shitty and cliche as far as Republicans go. But then I was just scrolling down a little bit further and I read he owns 3 Subway sandwich shops.
Eat fresh.
So
Too soon?
this guy really, I mean, just really something creepy about him. And he just happens to be one of Jared's special friends. Oh, okay. But anyway, talking about the Republican presidential debates. There is in the Congress, and a lot of these guys coming from the Congress, and oddly enough, one of the guys from Texas, it seems like Santorum and Perry both kind of on the same page as this. There's kind of a cancerous element that people need to be aware of, and it's people who are running for government positions from a platform of anti-governmentism. All right, you can't run for government with the talking point that government doesn't work. All right, it's essentially saying like, yeah, I want to be a mechanic, but I hate cars and I just want to smash them with a hammer. You know, so is there any issues on the Republican presidential debate that you found interesting, dear?
Like, you mean the fact that they're trying to defund Planned Parenthood altogether? It's kind of a shitty thing to do.
Oh, but wait, Planned Parenthood is just selling baby parts. That's all they do is just kill babies and abortions and stuff.
No.
No.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Wrong. Wrong.
Ah!
No, you're wrong. Okay. Planned Parenthood.
No, that's commitment.
Planned Parenthood is all about women's health. Everything from mammograms, pap smears, birth control, cancer screenings. All this helps low income females to take care of themselves. And, birth control, to be responsible, you're gonna have sex. Be responsible about it so you have access to birth control. Which every single Republican on that stage last night seems dead set on defunding all of that because, it's working so well here in Louisiana with Bobby Jindal shutting down all the charity hospitals and all the emergency rooms where low income people live. That's working out really well.
Oh, fuck. What do women need breast cancer screenings for? It's just much funner to watch them die, right? Especially poor people. Oh, if you're poor and female and a minority, let's just fuck them, right? Why? Because baby brains.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm against abortion. There are exceptions, incest and rape, definitely exceptions. But that's between a woman and God, what she does. I'm against it. I would never get an abortion, never have had an abortion. But you can't defund an entire organization because you don't like one thing it's doing.
This speaks volumes to a greater problem we have with a lack of civil discourse in this country. We can't have a productive discussion about anything. I recently posted a 2-part video. Please check it out. It's a proposal about a suggestion and my reasons behind suggesting a new way to form the abortion. And I talked to my wife at length about this. You know, please bear in mind, I'm just not somebody without a vagina telling people what to do with theirs.
And a lot of men, you guys should really sit down and watch these videos because I mean, you guys just really don't understand everything that's all that comes along with an abortion at all. And
And my stance was basically not that we should be outright restricting abortion further than it is. It's a matter of we need to make people more educated on the choice that they're making when they're possibly ending a child's life. And I think we need to design the rule around minimizing instances in which any abortions are carried out beyond the point at which a heartbeat can be detected. Okay. When you're talking about a cluster of cells, you know, we have the technology to where there's no excuse to let it develop beyond that. Okay. If and that it's just a matter of personal responsibility. We can't design the legal system around a lack of personal responsibility. That just makes people more irresponsible.
yeah, and can I interject something right there while you're talking
I'm
about
talking about the
responsibility?
72-hour pill.
The morning after pill,
Right.
Plan B. But here's my point too. When you come to talk about the responsibility of everything, you want to shut down Planned Parenthood, and you're taking away affordable birth control for people. What do you think that's going to cause? That's going to cause even more people looking to get abortions. I mean, you're not doing anything by helping this situation. I mean, these Republicans that are on stage, or most of them were for against Obamacare, which also is helping provide preventative screening and help for women. And oh look, I get to be back on birth control because we signed up for Obamacare.
You're gonna wind up with girls in Los Angeles and Houston going to Mexico for abortions. In fact, the way it's been going in Texas, it's probably already happened right now. Probably. It's probably already happening. Probably already happening right now.
But it makes no sense, and these Republican presidential candidates don't seem like they're very well researched. They just hear one bad thing and they stick to that. And there's I don't even think there's actually proof. Those videos didn't actually show any proof that they were actually selling. I mean,
Okay.
they use
There's no proof that anything heinous even happened in America at all on the internet. I looked until I puked from looking. Okay, literally. Um, the video that Alex Jones, okay, for fucking starters, red flag right there. Alex Jones is the one who's got most of these posts up. All right, and it's just people talking in a fucking restaurant for 2 hours straight. And then there's another video of this girl talking about how she used to work at an abortion clinic and she had to help cut a fucking baby's face open to harvest its brain. And she's claiming to have been emotionally traumatized enough by this to where she had to quit her job, yet she did not visibly get emotional on camera. All right? Like, if she's an actress, she wouldn't have made it in a sci-fi channel original movie. Like, okay.
anyhow. Regardless of how you slice the pie, it's fucked up.
But they interspersed that interview with the supposed former employee. She might have actually worked for something, but the fucking story she says is bullshit. But they intersperse it with images of a fetus in a sink, like a metal medical sink with forceps, and it's just sitting there, and they show it. It just kind of moves once like that, and there's no context given. You don't know whether or not this was a miscarriage or stillborn or something that happened in China or
The mother's life was in danger.
right. There's no way of telling where that came from, and they inserted it just to cloud your judgment to make you emotional, so you'll believe this bitch's story. What the fuck? Okay, this is the kind of stuff that gets fabricated in Russia in order to make us all fucking crazy at each other. And we have to all take a sense of personal responsibility and become vigilant and aware as citizens that we're just a country. We're not the God country that just gets to fucking do whatever it wants and pretend like it's always going to be secure. We're always going to be safe. We're always going to be better than everybody else. Right now, you know why Obama couldn't move but one ship at a time into the Black Sea? Because Russia's Navy has first strike capability on our Navy. Okay, it's a matter of ship to ship missile range. Okay, their ship to ship missiles have several hundred miles. Okay, I think it's like 260 miles greater. I have a graphics on one of the groups I host. But basically, if they can hit you an hour before you get into range to hit them, that's called first strike capability. And if we moved a big fleet within range of Russia's mainland, especially in Black Sea, we would literally risk that entire fleet being wiped out like that. So go ahead and tell me how stupid Obama is. Go ahead and tell me how he's a traitor and how he's not protecting America. And I'll show you how our body count has gone down, 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 down ever since he took office, and how American boys aren't coming home in fucking coffins. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, if we would have somehow made an outright military commitment to Ukraine, there would be rivers running red with blood right now. All right. So getting back to the Republican puppet show. I mean, presidential debate. Having a guy running for office that's basically just saying no government. It's kind of like having somebody come into your work and telling you how to do your job. You know, it's like no, there's another better comparison we're gonna get to in a second on that one. Minimum wage. Did we do minimum wage yet?
No.
Oh. Go ahead, start on minimum wage.
So Lindsey Graham got posed with a minimum wage question last night, and he firmly believes that minimum wage should not be raised for anybody, including servers, which is where
he targeted waitresses like
yeah, he targeted waiters and waitresses individually, which is where I draw the line. Okay, I understand there has to be some kind of balance. You can't just force everybody to give people $10 an hour more than what they are. People are going to go bankrupt all over the fucking country. Understandable. But servers, on average, make $2.13 an hour.
That's waiters and waitresses.
Servers make $10 to $2. I'm sorry, $2.13 an hour plus their tips.
$2.
Okay. Now, when you factor in the fact that you get taxed out of your paycheck already, and then you get taxed on top of whatever tips you make, you generally don't even get a paycheck after all is said and done. So you are literally surviving off of your tips. And I know this because I spent more than a decade in the food service industry, mainly waiting tables.
And Republicans want to talk about lower income people having a problem with non-reported income. You're incentivizing non-reported income by not allowing people to make enough money on the books, and then they have to basically, like, there's a lot of different restaurants I know where servers try to hide their tips so they don't get taxed.
They hide their cash tips so they only have to get
so Republicans are shooting themselves in the foot on that issue.
Yeah, because I mean you're scraping and trying to get every dollar you can, so the easiest way is to hide your cash tips because your credit cards are always reported. But you don't necessarily have to report your cash tips.
Right, and that's this stance that is the opposite of logical on Lindsey Graham, and I was impressed by how much Lindsey Graham was the voice of reason as far as you can't sit there and want to get a government office in order to subvert government processes, because these things establish just bad precedents that it's a long winding bad road you don't want the country to go down, having the executive going after the Supreme Court, because then somebody later down the road can just decide, oh, they don't like this thing, and then they can go after the Supreme Court for that. Next thing you know, we got a dictatorship. Okay. But for him to go after waitresses in particular on the minimum wage issue, it's just the opposite of what should be done. I don't think there should be $15 an hour across the board. Okay, that's ridiculous. There's some small businesses that just plain out can't afford that. Then you got kids working after schools. Kids working after schools don't need no 15 goddamn dollars an hour. Are you kidding me, man? You know, tell me some punk kid gonna get $15 an hour just so he can put the bigger stereo in his freaking car? Come on.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Something does need to be done about the minimum wage. For what the job that I do, I'm a legal assistant, and
But we can't lump it all together. We need an actual discourse that discusses the individual industries where minimum wages need to go up. Like big corporations like Walmart. I think Walmart should be paying more. You know, they make a crap ton of money, and they need to have those people that work there putting back into their local economies by making enough money to have some to spend.
it's not have to be on food stamps.
Right. They got just enough money to shop at Walmart is what they get.
Don't get me wrong. I'm making more than the minimum wage, but with all the studies that come out that say what a single person needs to be making to live in the state that they live in, even with what I'm making, I don't make enough, according to this survey, to live in my state. And that's just for one person. That's just if you were to just look at my income by itself. And we've got 2 incomes and 2 kids.
And it is rough.
Yeah.
I mean, rough. And it's not like either of our resumes are lacking, you know?
And I got to be honest with you, I have a great job that literally fell into my lap for the lack of education that I have. I got handed an immense opportunity that I'm very thankful for, but I mean, the cost of living, something either needs to be done about the minimum wage or the cost of living. People can't survive, and bill collectors don't care. You kill yourself to work, and then you have to pay all your medical bills, and then you're broke again, so you got to kill yourself to work to pay your bills, and then you're broke again. It's freaking ridiculous.
So I was kind of disappointed about how much they talked about Russia. Um, Getting back to what I was talking about at the top, Russia has, in the past week, conducted its largest military exercise of 2015. 100,000 naval, air, and ground troops at 20 different locations. This end of the picture of what's going on in Syria and the recent changes in Japan's legal system or constitution. We also have some interesting developments happening in Central Europe. The not Austria, Hungary.
Yay!
Hungary has moved troops onto its border to block migrants from getting in.
From Serbia.
Croatia decided briefly that it was going to allow some. Once they started crowding up, Croatia was like, okay, y'all need to get fingerprinted. Then the migrants decided, we don't want to get fingerprinted, and chanted and broke through the lines, and there was, all the pepper spray and the usual nastiness. But the interesting to me that resulted from this is several thousand migrants broke past the police, undocumented, nobody knows who they are. They're in Croatia, and Croatia is planning on putting them on buses and trains to Hungary,
where they're shooting and arresting people for crossing the border.
Hungary just closed its borders with the military Croatia got broken through. Croatia says, oops, we'll just make it Hungary's problem. You know, it's a good thing 100 years ago a war didn't get started like this. Oh.
It did.
Fuck. Yeah. All these different things going on. All these different things going on. And now we got Ahmed the fake terrorist. Dope. Okay. So I think Bill Maher said it best, and I have a little quote written down from him. People at the school thought it might be a bomb. Perhaps because it looks exactly like a fucking bomb.
Just like.
Alright. See this big orange thing there? It looks like fucking something out of a James Bond flick. You know, I has the package. The infidels will never see it coming, kind of. Alright? That's what it looks like. Stop kidding yourselves.
I've never seen a clock that looks like that.
I've never seen no damn clock look like that. That's a metal briefcase. And what is this big thing? That's supposed to be what, the LCD readout right there? Okay? It looks like a big damn piece of explosive is what it looks like. Alright? It kind of looks like a transformer, but there's the transformer down there. Okay, so I guess that's the readout. But look at that damn thing. How did that take until 6 period for somebody to call the cops? When I was a kid, when I was a young warthog.
When he was a young warthog.
Oh my God. You didn't really commit. What?
Commitment.
All right.
I don't know. It's late. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just shot this video already, and we're trying to sit there and keep ourselves together without repeating what we already freaking did in the last video. But anyways, when I was a young warthog, or no, when I was his age, I got into some trouble for, you know, I don't know, different things, you know, like, I don't want to get into that, but let's just say I'm familiar with the mind of the disciplinarian at a school. All right? Well, I don't think I would have made it past 3rd period before they would have had me hauled off in handcuffs. Okay? And I was just angry white boy. You know? Angry white boys didn't take down the Twin Towers. Angry white boys have done some fucked up shit recently. Okay? Angry white boys need to be watched too. I don't want angry white boys building clocks. Okay? I ain't never built no fucking clock and brought it to school because I'd have known that if I brought some of my weird fucking electronic devices to school, I would have gone the fuck to jail because they could have very easily thought, hey, look, angry white boy built a bomb. You know what I'm saying? Now, fast forward 20 fucking years with the internet, with everything that's going on right now, with the level of awareness that 14-year-old children have right now, especially kids who are obviously plugged in well enough to be able to research that kind of shit. Definitely on the internet. You gonna tell me he didn't know better?
Oh crap.
All right. So, as everybody knows, I am a supporter of President Obama. And this situation makes him kind of look bad, don't it? I would agree with you. But see, I've been keeping track of Barry on a very, very, very close level for a very long time. And one thing I know about him is he calculates his reactions to situations based on strategic interests. And his strategic interest right now is to help the investigation, not cut it off. Okay. See, if he wouldn't have done what he did, the media wouldn't have what it has to talk about. And then it would be talking about the obvious perspective that we just talked about. Okay. And what that would do is spook whoever this kid's been talking to, spook whoever his mom's been associating with. Okay. Then you say they're not going back.
No, he's apparently starting a new school. I saw a headline that said he's switching schools.
Yeah, his mom and him, his mom and him are going elsewhere. Okay, just out of the blue. But it's supposed to be everything's okay, right? Well, imagine a situation where everyone condemned this. The media all condemned this the way they should be condemning it. All right. What would happen is, oh fuck, they're watching us. And whatever possible links, whatever possible investigation could take place would be cut off. Okay. There'd be no one to track down because they'd be spooked. All right. So every time, and this has been my experience historically, and this is why I, you know, believe in what I'm saying now because I've seen it play out to where it's justified and yeah, oh shit, Barry, you're a fucking genius, and the people go to jail and the fucking child slavery rings broken up and shit like that. All right. But everybody wants to jump down Barry's throat every time they don't understand what he's doing. That's like going into somebody's work and telling them how to do their job. Okay? You don't fucking work there. You don't know what they're doing behind the counter. You gonna drop off your motorcycle to the motorcycle shop and tell the mechanic what to do? Why didn't you fix it yourself? You know? All right. I used to work at a motorcycle shop, so that first thing popped in my head. So yeah, good on Barry for being just a sly bastard when it comes to this stuff. Because his ability to make America mad at him has actually kept America safe in ways that most people can't understand. It's just kind of poetry that somebody can operate on his level of strategic genius. And it really kind of pisses me off that people are too stupid to give him credit for it. And yeah, if you're mad that I'm saying that right now, I'm calling you intellectually inferior. You're a fucking moron. You're stupid. Sorry. Um, Donald Obama's a Muslim and his birth certificate there. Why didn't Donald Trump have half the balls that John McCain had?
Right. Oh my god.
That's what I'm talking about the level of civil discourse in this country. Okay. This is not natural. This comes from foreign planned media sensationalism.
Propaganda.
Right? Exactly. Propaganda. Make us at each other's throats and make us have no faith in the system. Oh. Okay. So, this kid is 14 years old. Bible said 13 years old. He's responsible for his own decisions, isn't he? In the Muslim country, if he was a girl, he'd be married and probably be pregnant by now. It's pretty obvious that he should be held responsible for this. Okay? And when the obvious ain't quite making sense, something's going on. And this whole idea that every time this happens, we're just going to become a bunch of rebels, that's going to tear this country apart. And what choice does Barry have? To let the shit get out of control? To let people start going wild against the Muslims, or to reduce the chance of catching the people who influence this kid? I mean, there's so many different ways why every time when people complain, what they want is stupid. And what they're complaining about is the smart way to handle it. Yeah, that's all. Ah, all right. So, I guess, is that everything for the news?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We have little buttons and thumbs and little things, and you click them, and I don't know, like fairies get their wings and shit.
Yay!
Puppy farts don't stink. Uh, things, good things happen to somebody. Bye.
Bye.